Is this live? All right, everybody sit down.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free.
Tonight's episode, That Was No Lady.
Okay, well, I'm getting this all backwards. What am I doing? All right, so am I even screen sharing? All right, let me start screen sharing. What is going on this morning? There we go. First off, I'd like to apologize. I was taking out the garbage just before the show, and I may have inadvertently thrown away ATF nominee Chipman. So I do want to apologize that I'm pretty sure I accidentally threw away the ATF nominee. All right, so let's get started. What are we looking at here? First off, we got DJ joining us. Good morning, welcome. And we have Echo joining us. Good morning and welcome. Echo had a long chat last night again. It's fun to watch. Thank you for hosting the reloading chats. It's fun to hear people geek out, nerd out about gun stuff. I'm afraid of the contamination. You're supposed to dispose of foul things in the correct way, just like a acid battery being left out for a child or whatever. All right, well, let's dig in. Here's what we're going to do. Let's read some ATF comments, shall we? Here's the deal. The ATF has won. They beat us. So basically, Bloomberg paid chick from Monsanto to pay the guy who's from Waco to win, and he did. He won. All he had to do was put 2 comment periods out, and we're like, the what? Oh, comment what? I'm too busy. So here's what's happening. We have 2 comment periods at the same time. It's amazing. And that's how they beat us, by putting 2 things on the table at once. We're perplexed. We're going to open up one in a new window, and then we're going to open up another one in a new tab, I should say window. First one is the proposed ATF changes to firearms definitions. In other words, your upper of your AR is a gun, your bolt carrier is a gun, your trigger group, gun. Bolt carrier, gun. Did I say that? Bolt, let's make that a gun too. All right. Then we've also got the factoring criteria for firearms with attached stabilizing braces. The ATF is just trying to clarify for gun safety for the children, and everybody's getting all bothered about it. So let's go look at these comment periods. The first thing I like to do is edit the video. What? While we're watching it, is this legal? I've never seen anyone edit the video we're in while we're in it. Yeah, that's legal. It's just like opening up the side of a computer or opening up the hood of the car while you're driving it. A lot of people don't have the skills to do it, but we do it. Some of us do it. Let's see. So we're going to first look at the redefinition of firearms receivers. Last time we looked, there were a measly 88,609 comments. Now, just a couple of days later, a mere days later, we're looking at 91,080 comments received. So do we congratulate everybody? Yes, because that's like 3,000 comments in just a couple of days. That's actually a faster rate on the one that everybody hates than ever before. And let's look at how many of those comments have been approved for resale. 89,950. So that's up another 2,500. 89,950. So yeah, that's pretty decent. We got some new comments in over there. Let's hope that they're not all anti. I guess we'll find out in a minute. But first, let's go over the attached criteria stabilizing braces, blah, blah, blah. So last time we looked, in our last episode, we had 120,808. This time, we have 121,500. 536, which is an increase of not even 1,000. What? That makes me think for certain that the other one, the redefinition of firearms, is going to be entirely anti. Who wants to bet that it's going to be entirely anti? How many of these pistol brace ones are approved? Only 650, so barely 630 more. Because nobody put in any. People stopped commenting on the braces. I'd buy that for $1. That is a good movie. All right, I gotta go look at the garbage dump. If I'm paying taxes on that robot arm driving through my neighborhood, I'm going to monitor and make sure that robot arm is doing what it's supposed to be doing in my neighborhood. I have way too much stuff in the garbage this time. If there's some sort of law about how much stuff you can put in the garbage, I have way more than that in there. So I'm going to go see whenever it comes back down the street the other way, if they even take it. It's going to sound like this. And then it's going to like smoke, and then they're going to fine me or something because I put way too much stuff in the garbage this time. All right, so basically where are we setting? We're getting creamed. Antis have won. Infringements are on the way because we can't be bothered. But I'll tell you what, there's a new gizmo for my doobab. It's awesome. It's different color than the other one was, and the grip angle, deluxe. It's the most deluxe grip angle I've ever seen in a doodad from my Wudsit. Oh my goodness. And I've only got 1,000 rounds through it. I've only shot 1,000 rounds through my new doodad. Why is my video not running? What's going on? Am I being censored? What the hell? I want to hear myself say stuff. Okay, there we go. All right. So now we're going to go back to the two actual regulations pages, and we're going to flip over to the comments page tab, and we're going to open up, let's say the first page worth. Oh wait, can't do it this way. What do we forget? Sort them by the most recent. Okay, now let's make them big. Oh no, let's not make them bigger yet. Now let's open them up. We're going to right click, open in a new window 25 times. We've got this down to a science because there's so much boilerplate. Oops, and because so many of them are anti, it's possible to now read 50 of these things in less than an hour. Am I the only channel that's done it? Yes, no other channel has ever read a comment before, so that's how sad a state we're in. Oh, I keep opening these in a new window. That's pissing me off because that throws off the whole system. Oh, that's so annoying. All right, so I'm right-clicking on each of these and I'm opening them in a new window. Eventually we'll have all 25 opened. So this is, of course, the redefinition of firearms, the most important one, the one that the antis are dominating us. We're like a little chihuahua, and they're like a big Malinois, as far as this one goes. All right, so here we go. Excuse me. We're going to play a little commercial. I'm going to drink a slurp or two of coffee, and then we'll get started. But here's an important message from somebody who you're about to see an important message from. That's the shortest commercial I've ever made. This is called the G23 barbecue sandwich. All right, if you're done messing around, we're going to get going here. So this is comment number 89754. This proposed receiver definition changes are oh, you know what? Let's make it bigger so you people can read it. Let's go to there, move this over, there. Can you people read it now? All right. The proposed receiver definition changes are unacceptable. BATF agents and administrators are unelected bureaucrats who do not represent the American people. Arbitrary redefining these terms instantly makes millions of law-abiding citizens criminals overnight. The authority of the BATF too often infringes on the Second Amendment. Abolish it and let the FBI investigate explosions and weapons smuggling. I'm not commenting, but somebody turned on an applause machine, so I just have to deal with that happening. Next up is comment number 89765. It's boilerplate from the GOA. Wait, yes. Yes, boilerplate's an old boilerplate from GOA, and a sentence in front of it. We'll just read the sentence. This is a rule that infringes on the Second Amendment. It is being imposed by bureaucrats, and they aren't elected to represent the people. This new law will make millions felons. What the hell is on my elbow? All right, next is, just got back from the gym, thought I was all good to go, and my one elbow is full of tar. Like, I might as well have taken my elbow and not even put it in the shower or nothing. It's just, might as well have just wiped it in the tar and just left it. Ugh. All right, next up, 89773. I support the rule on so-called ghost guns that has been proposed by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. I urge the ATF to finalize this rule as proposed and treat ghost guns the same as other guns. Ghost guns are do-it-yourself firearms that can be acquired without a background check and lack serial numbers, so they can't be traced by law enforcement. By selling the key components of firearms as intentionally unfinished rather than fully assembled firearms, ghost gun companies manage to skirt federal gun laws. Buyers who aren't required to pass background checks can quickly and easily convert these unfinished parts into fully functional firearms using common household tools. As a result, nothing is stopping a person who is prevented from possessing a firearm from making a ghost gun. Ghost guns are frequently moved by traffickers because they are easier to obtain, harder to track than traditional firearms, leading to more and more ghost guns being traded in the black market and used in criminal activity. Ghost guns have been used to shoot police officers and commit mass shootings and murder children, and extremist groups are increasingly arming themselves with these dangerous weapons. ATF's proposed rule would change the definition of firearm to include components that are finished. As a result, these parts can only be sold after a background check and would have to be serialized. This would help stop the flow of dangerous, untraceable weapons to people legally prohibited from possessing guns. This is common sense solution to a critically important problem. I wholly support this rule and urge its immediate adoption. That guy wrote all that too. The dude that wrote that. 89778. I am writing in opposition of proposed rule, definition of frame or receiver, and identification of firearms, Federal Register number 2021-10058. This proposed rule and change to existing law defining frames and receivers, among other firearms components, will not provide for a reduction in crime and will not advance efforts of law enforcement agencies to better track and solve violent crimes where firearms are utilized. In the proposed rule, it is stated, addressing PMFs, personally made firearms, that from January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2020, there were approximately 23,906 suspected personally made firearms reported to the ATF as have been recovered by law enforcement from potential crime scenes, including 325 homicides, and that they were attempted to be traced by the ATF. This statement, among others in the justification of the proposed rule, is vague and misleading. To start, the term suspected is used when speaking to the quantity of PMFs, personally made firearms, recovered by law enforcement for the given time period. Suspected is very different from confirmed. Second to that, the term potential crime scene is used when describing where these personally made firearms were recovered from. Again, potential is different than confirmed and is misleading and vague. Third, an effort to provide for maximum visibility and transparency to the proposed rule. Details should and needs to be provided to compare specific to how many firearms were recovered in the United States by law enforcement agencies while investigating crimes for the given time period. It can be assumed and likely argued that this information was intentionally left out because the likelihood of personally made firearms being a real problem is minuscule, and pales in comparison to the quantity of serialized firearms being used in crimes. I am in opposition of the proposed rule change because it is a known fact that tracing a firearm back to its point of sale from a licensed FFL holder does nothing towards reducing or solving crimes. All right, this is not stated enough, so I'm going to reiterate. I am also in opposition of the proposed rule change because it is a known fact that tracing a firearm back to its point of sale from a licensed FFL holder does nothing towards reducing or solving crimes. A firearm that has been in circulation for even just a year can be legally bought and sold multiple times. Just because a law enforcement can trace a firearm back to its origination point of sale does not advance efforts to solve any given crime committed. Forensics and ballistic testing are what are required to confirm firearms used in crimes. Even if personally made firearms did not exist, evil is evil and crime is crime. No amount of legislation or law will prevent any one individual who wants to commit a crime, for whatever reason, from doing so, and to think and insist that imposing more laws and regulations will change that is foolhardy and arguably ignorant. With the amount of firearms laws already in place, law enforcement agencies, including at the federal level, would accomplish more if they chose to actually enforce these existing laws rather than constantly proposing new laws that infringe on the Constitution of the United States. I oppose the proposed rule, definition of frame of 2021-10058. That's an awesome one, but I got to go watch the dump truck or the garbage truck. I'll be right back. Suckers, they took the whole damn thing. Their garbage truck arm must be getting stronger. It's sweet. All the crap off the roof, one jump. So that was a really good one. That last one was really good. Let's see. Next up. ATF 2021 R-05. It does not escape anyone's intention that the political attack on gun kits was written and organized by leftist lobbying groups, with the ATF serving as an unwitting tool. This is a boilerplate from GOA, I think. Oh, this is interesting. This is 89793. My name is Philip. His last name is his business. My current address it's in Colorado. For the record, I want to state that I would never consent to being covered by anyone who has currently worked or has worked for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. I believe all the government work that the BATFE engages in violates the First and 10th Amendments of the Constitution of the United States. James Buchanan sent an army to destroy and murder a large population in Utah Territory. Many of my ancestors were part of this particular religious group of tens of thousands. These people were targeted for their religious beliefs. Jonathan Browning, father of John Moses Browning, had created repeating firearms for those inhabitants of Utah, and for this particular group was well prepared for this vile invasion. I believe these inhabitants of the territory of Utah would have been outgunned by the United States Army. In 1993, this government agency engaged in the same activity, targeting another particular religious group of the Seventh-day Adventists. Unfortunately, this later blip of history turned out very much differently. They did not have armies, tanks, and military helicopters. Monopoly of force has led to practically all the evil that has filled the history books of the world. Violations of the law given to Noah. This action is violation of founding beliefs of this country. It violates our God-given rights to be prepared against evil actors in society. Many of these evil actors are attached to the power of government. This action that happened in Waco, Texas, by the United States government in 1993 is an infringement of the enumerated rights of the Constitution. This action is more proof that the government agency, ATF, is founded and continues to focus on violating the civil rights, 1866. I could go off this proposal violating the rule of leniency, I think that is, and Grayman in City of Rockford, which is Supreme Court precedent. Ironically, this violates a direct order to this agency, United States versus Thompson Center Arms, a Supreme Court precedence. The federal government, what's this all about? The federal government continues to ignore the plain text of our laws and our Constitution. Do you think the current members of the Supreme Court will look the other way? Now, maybe the mechanism of society will not punish the actors of government who engaged the ATF in gun walking scandal, so-called Operation Fast and Furious. All the other Machiavellian schemes in the next life, God will. There you go. So that's an interesting one. Next up is 89801. I urge ATF to approve regulation of so-called ghost guns, ATF 2021 R-05. Our current regulations allow individuals to circumvent appropriate rules to purchase and possess weapons. This regulation does not unduly restrict the right to bear arms, but it protects the public from those who seek to thwart appropriate oversight of gun use and manufacture. There you go, another stinging it to us. They got us really good that time. Next up is 89794. This newly proposed interpretation of the law will do nothing but make gun ownership or manufacturing for one's own use more difficult for law-abiding citizens that enjoy firearms for the defense of themselves, their loved ones, or as simple as a hobby. I am near wrapping up my engineering degree. I love building things, Legos, cars, computers, and you guessed it, firearms. I just love to build. These potential new changes will now make it difficult or near impossible to do something that I love, and for what? There are virtually no statistics that show these ghost guns are used in violent crimes. The overwhelming majority of these violent criminals do not possess the knowledge or even the ability to make a functioning firearm from one of these 80% receivers. That is why they break into people's cars and property and steal them. I am not trying to make this political, but the current administration and those that helped them get into power are crying out for the ban as if they were responsible for numerous crimes, which is simply not the case. As a law-abiding citizen, please do not move forward with these changes. It's hard to debate with, right? Next up is 89805. The bottom line here is that we need more protection from these weapons. Lawless peoples, it's you and you and you, are producing them that fear being tracked back to the weapons they are using to commit crime and murder. So all the crimes and murders are coming from these guns that make crimes and murders easier. I'm not commenting though, even though crimes and murders. So next up is 89874. I think it's real. ATF 2021 R-05. ATF's efforts to turn a left-wing propaganda effort into politicized rulemaking represent a new low, even for the ATF. I'm not commenting. That's a hell of a good sentence. First sentence. The Bureau starts with nonsensical, politicized nomenclature, ghost guns, coined by outside partisans, and turns it into an unconstitutional effort to change the rules of gun ownership in the middle of the game. That is all right. To begin with, privately made firearms are functionally irrelevant to the incidence of crime. There is no evidence they are actually used in crime. The best ATF has been able to do is argue that suspected personally made firearms were reported to be present in potential crime scenes. Even then, it is less than a fraction of 1% of the reports. For this reason, ATF regulations and policy have continued to give the green light to personally made firearms until the Bureau began to receive pressure from groups which had spent literally billions of dollars to elect Biden and anti-gun Democrats. ATF may want to consider that engaging in politically motivated rulemaking, which contradicts both the language and statute and previous regulatory pronouncements, may lack substantive due process and may violate the takings clause as well. Rest assured, this shoddy effort at political gamesmanship will be challenged in court, and like similar efforts to ban bump stocks, will be repudiated. I don't like all these words, but man, those words all went in the right direction, and I'm not commenting, but if I was, I would say that's an awesome comment, or awesome one. Next up, 89872. Just says in capital letters, letter, and then it goes, I support the rule on letter. I support the rule on so-called ghost guns that has been proposed by the BATFE, and I urge ATF to finalize the rule as proposed and treat ghost guns the same as other guns. It's almost like that boilerplate, except it's not. They had to copy it and paste it. And they pasted the part where it says letter. That's the best part. So let's go find that. So let's go back to where that was. Holy crap. Okay, so I support the rule on ghost guns. So if we search for that, I'll search for it over here. If we can search for that, we're going to find that every town. Oh, maybe we aren't going to find that every town page. Dun, dun, dun. Let's get rid of this quotes because that might be screwing with it. I support the rule. Yeah. All right, I'm not going to keep looking. I thought it was straight out every time. I'm guessing though this came from like, put this in your letter, ... And then they copied too much of it. Anyway, ghost guns are do-it-yourself firearms that can be acquired without a background check and like serial numbers, blah, blah, blah. They can retrace. So basis all boilerplate. It's a common sense solution to a critically important problem I wholly support. So another same boilerplate. Next up is 89732. I am really against all guns, period. They do kill. Ghost guns and automatic long guns and rifle, the scariest of all. I always look around to be sure my wife and I don't end up in another Las Vegas type incident. It's very dangerous in the world. Abolish the laws we live by now. Put in tougher laws and make them with some bite in them. Wow, so that's English second language, I hope. And this person is totalitarian. They want a government that tells you what to do. Right on. ATF's going to dig that one. Next up is 89879. The Second Amendment does not grant the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment denies the government to authority to infringe upon our right to bear arms. What? Also keep in mind Title 18 USC Section 242. We the people have had enough. Well, you got to be a little bit more clear than that guy. So there's that one. Don't talk about automatic long guns in my chat, please. Come on. Don't be extreme. Next up is 89903. ATF 2021-05. It's a huge overstep into the rights of American citizens. This rule changes proposed The rule changes proposed will in no way limit crimes committed. In truth, this law will only make law-abiding citizens criminals due to the rule changes. Criminals do not care if they break the law. More rules will not change their minds. This proposal is a direct violation of the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 9. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed when owning certain items is legal up until the day ATF 2021-R-5 goes into law, and immediately afterwards those items are no longer legal. This becomes an ex post facto law. This cannot occur. Even with the assault weapons ban, items that were already owned were grandfathered in and no one was made into a criminal. ATF 2021-R-05 does not need to be passed and is a violation of the law of the land. It violates Article 1, Section 9. It violates the Second Amendment. It violates the rights of law-abiding citizens. Do not pass or approve this disgraceful law. I'm just going to take this part and put that right here. Are you going to take it? Come on, chat, take it. Just take it. Next, we'll put it here. Next, we'll go to 89897. I am writing in support of the ATF's proposed rule that would stop the proliferation of deadly and untraceable ghost guns. So next up is 89886. This reworking of the definition of a frame or receiver as a firearm is arbitrary and confusing. With the definition changing, what will be the result? Has there been sufficient research and evidence to show that this rule will greatly impact the criminal underworld? Respectfully, this seems to be aiming in the dark. In addition, as has been said perhaps repeatedly, will this rule stop those who do not follow rules? This simply adds to the confusion. This point cannot be made more than too often, right? Like that this is ridiculous. It only infringes on those who are going to obey it. They're such assholes. Next up is 89898. That's a cool number. If you had that comment, it better be good. I am writing in support of the ATF. They ruined a good number. That's even worse than just being an asshole. Now they're an asshole ruining a good number. Next up is 89753. The ATF does not make gun laws. Wait, the ATF does not make laws, only suggestions. This is an overreach of power to gain control of citizens as well as the industry itself, making it overly complicated as well as adding one more step that will later be used to take our rights away. This does more harm than good and is not actually helping anyone. This is boilerplate. Almost positive that's boilerplate, so I'm not reading. I'm nodding because the ETF comment breeds are so boring to me. Next up is boilerplate. We won't read that one. Next up, boilerplate, but it's got a sentence in front of it, 89887. This is just another attempt to minimize the Second Amendment at the whim of a political party who fails to recognize the sacrifices made by Americans through our history of freedom. And then got our GOA boilerplate behind it. Next up is 89791. Ghost guns are a major public safety concern in America. Ghost gun parts and kits are widely available and can be purchased by anyone, including prohibited purchasers, domestic abusers, and gun traffickers. I can't believe they didn't even include extremists. Without a background check, what? I support this proposed rule as it will ensure that these parts kits, which are easily assembled in functioning firearms, are not sold without a background check and are not untraceable, because things that are traceable and have background checks are not dangerous anymore. That's how you remove the danger from a thing. All right, so next we got three more. We're going to get 3 good ones or 3 bad ones. Patriots showing up. Is that going to be good luck or is that going to be bad luck? Let's see. 89889. That's a pretty decent number. It's not great, but it's pretty good. It's a boilerplate with one sentence in front of it. I'll read the sentence. I would remind our nation that when they spend all our resources, you will need your guns and ammunition. Get your head out of the sand before you are too late, and don't forget the nuts that are trying to take this country down the drain. Okay? And then we're going to get one called 89895, and it is boilerplate from Gun Owners America. And last one is also boilerplate from Gun Owners America, and we won't read the number because it's just boilerplate. That's a hell of a lot of boilerplate and a bunch of antis. The ratio of antis was down a little bit, unless I'm crazy, but it was still up there. So I'm guessing 30 to 40 something percent boilerplate, right? We're closing out of there. We've lost on that one. So get ready to serialize your uppers. Get ready to serialize your bolt carriers, because we can't be bothered. We're too busy. We're too busy to worry about that one. Now we'll get into the pistol braces. Now the pistol braces is not that big a deal. They're just going to give us this checklist, right? And then the checklist is just going to make it easier for us to comply with the law. It's just going to make it easier for us to know what is a good gun and which is a bad gun, which is a dangerous gun and which is not a dangerous gun. I mean, all guns are murder weapons, so they're all dangerous, but which one will be less dangerous for the innocents? Dang it. I was just getting all excited that I had not screwed up this one, but right-clicking and then choose and open in a new tab for each of the 25 comments that have come in for the characterizing factors of a stabilizing brace firearm or whatever. It's just common sense. The ATF is here to help, and they want to make it so that we don't have dangerous guns laying around or, in our possession. So it's not that big a deal. Let's just comply, and let's just, maybe if we all got rid of AR-15s, then they wouldn't have to worry about braces so much, right? All right, so now we'll go back to the first one, and let's see what we got going on here. You know what let's do? That's right, let's take a little commercial so that I can take a slurp of coffee and whatnot. What kind of commercial should we listen to? That's right, lock and loaded the team.
everyone, and welcome to episode 42 of the Locked and Loaded Latinos podcast.
All right, I'm not going to play the whole thing, so now we'll get back to it. We are on 120434. Attention, docket number ATF 2021 R-10. Wrong. To Office Regulatory Affairs from person. Their name is their business. They live in West Virginia. I am submitting comments in opposition to proposed regulations posted on December 18th. This is somebody that sent in comments from last December into this July's comments. So basically, they're just horking us by they're approving that comment just so that they can later say these were not even thought about. These were not even the appropriate ones. Blah blah blah. Next up is 120319. I am absolutely against this proposal. It would deny many people with hand or motor control issues their ability to exercise their Second Amendment rights. This would make millions of gun owners who've been working within the law into felons, needlessly creating or causing much drama and confusion. Next up is boilerplate from GOA with a sentence in front of it. As a law enforcement officer, it's number 120322. As a law enforcement officer, I have yet to deal with any armed subject who is not already breaking laws that are currently enforceable. Making a new law for something that is not a crime and all that it does is continually punish the law-abiding citizen. This is a continuous overreach of our Second Amendment rights and does not support any safety of our citizens. And then there's a boilerplate behind it. Next up is another boilerplate from Gun Owners America with a sentence in front of it. 120284. No reason to ban a brace that stabilizes a pistol. Such devices have been in use since colonial times. It doesn't make a handgun any more dangerous and certainly doesn't lead someone into criminal activity. All right, I'm not commenting, but that's interesting. Nobody's brought up colonial times, but if you're thinking about adding a stock to a pistol, like the fourth pistol that was picked up, because remember, the first pistols were not 9mm. They were real caliber. So the first one that was picked up, somebody was like, let's put a stock on here, make it easier to shoot. So it's true. They've been putting stocks on pistols for a long time. Next up is complete boilerplate, right? Wait. Yes, boilerplate. Next up is boilerplate. And next up is boilerplate with a sentence in front of it, 120299. This proposal should be withdrawn. This is an unconstitutional action on an item that Americans have been able to own legally for years. This rule change will turn millions of law-abiding citizens into felons overnight. It also goes against previous guidance given by the ATF. And then Gun Owners America boilerplate. Same thing, Gun Owners America boilerplate with a sentence in front of it, 120359. I am a law-abiding citizen of this great nation and I own several types of guns. The wording of this new regulation is so vague that you cannot make heads or tails out of it. It also says at the end that the ATF at its own discretion would rule whether a firearm would be in compliance or not, even if it passed all your terms. This cannot be put into use. It would make millions of law-abiding citizens automatically felons for having something that is in common use today and that the ATF has already ruled is usable. I feel the same way as the following message. Weird. So they used boilerplate in their paragraph before the boilerplate, but that's taken boilerplate to a whole nother level of regurgitation. So right on. Next up, 120358. Sirs. That's so sexist. There's so many ma'ams in the ATF. There's so many ma'ams, and then so many other genders that we're not. I don't even know all the genders. So that's so sexist. She goes, sirs, I have found the pistol braces to be very helpful for handicapped shooters. Some of these individuals are disabled or wounded veterans. Respectfully as always. And then the boilerplate from the GOA. Next up is boilerplate from the GOA. What do you know? With a sentence in front of it. This sentence is short. Do not make honest people into felons. That was 120332. Boilerplate, 100%. Next, boilerplate. Yep, boilerplate, 100%. Next. What do you know? Boilerplate, 100%. Next. Boilerplate, 100% boilerplate. Wait, is this? If it is boilerplate, it's a new one, but no, it's boilerplate. I've seen that one before. Holy moly. I'm not even have to read any of these because they're all going to be boilerplate. At least the good part is that they're not, I'm not going to, at least the good part is they're not anti. So next up is 120296. This change in criteria is aimed at turning law-abiding citizens and legal gun owners into criminals. The amount of legal gun owners that this change would affect far outweighs the political positives that this change is attempting to address. The ATF is attempting to circumvent legal process, including the role of Congress, by making these changes. The ATF is supposed to enforce the laws that the people decide by way of congressional representatives changing laws for the people. The ATF's job is not to dictate the law and then to enforce it. They shouldn't even be able to go through this process where they just say they're going to do something and unless they get enough valuable comments to stop them. This is not a balanced system that reflects our values as Americans. I'm not commenting, but that clap machine went off again. So click boilerplate or take a moment to write a paragraph like that. They're going to read that and they're going to go, dang it, we did this all wrong. Let's stop infringing. Let's disassemble this agency. That's how it's going to go down. All right, next up is 120302. 3 sections. Section 1. Before my purchase of weapon marketed and sold as pistol with stabilizing brace, researched whether this would be an NFA-controlled weapon subject to registration and tax. I was assured by both the manufacturer and the FFL that this weapon configuration was not controlled under the NFA per long-standing BATFE policy. I did not want to own a weapon controlled and registered under the NFA. To now have this weapon reclassified retroactively by administrative edict without congressional legislation is tyrannical. This proposed rule change would adversely affect millions of people who purchase such weapons in good faith and is an attempt to correct past BATFE perceived mistakes at the expense of the public. 2. A stabilizing brace, whether used as a forearm brace or a shoulder brace, renders a pistol, otherwise not so equipped to be less concealable. Removing a brace from a subject weapon brace configuration, which is a compliance remedy under the proposed rule, would make the resulting weapon more concealable, which is contrary to the intent of the NFA in general. Haven't heard that one, at least not stated specifically like that, but I'm not commenting. Number 3, a stabilizing brace, whether used as a firearm brace or a shoulder brace, renders a pistol, otherwise not so equipped with one, to be more accurate and therefore more safe. Removing a brace from a subject weapon brace configuration, which is a compliance remedy under the proposed rule, would make the resulting weapon less accurate and therefore less safe. Wah, wah. Suck it, ATF. Next up is 120307. I added the noise and the suck it, ATF to that last one, by the way. They didn't actually write that. Next up is boilerplate from GOA. Next up is boilerplate from the GOA. Next up is boilerplate from the GOA. I'm not even making this up. That was 3 of them in a row. Next up is 120369. This does nothing to combat gun crime. In fact, it simply makes millions of law-abiding gun owners into felons. Seems like a very cynical cash grab and nothing more. Can you explain how this will help make any significant decrease in gun crime across this country? Next up, 120404. Braces should be legal for AR-style pistols. Do not reclassify pistols as SBR due to use of a brace. If a brace can be strapped to your forearm, then it's only a brace. Next up is GOA boilerplate. Next up is GOA boilerplate. Next is GOA boilerplate. And the last one is, it's a giant paragraph with GOA boilerplate after it. So we'll read the giant paragraph part of it. 120418. Guys, again, super sexist, whatever. Guys, you may think only 1 million Americans own pistol-braced weapons that will become illegal when you issue your regulations. But instead, you will discommode? Way more firearms owners, including my wife and I. Without a pistol brace, the upper of my AR pistol weighs more than 4 pounds. Many pistols, in particular the early Walker handgun and .45 caliber, have been more than 4 pounds and are expected to be used with one hand by a cavalryman. This being a revolver with a cylinder holding 6 loaded chambers that will fire separately from its single barrel. There's nowhere forward on the gun to put a second hand, and using a second hand forward would prevent you from using the arm you are triggering the firearm with if you tried to use the sights. Handguns frequently used heavy calibers, and many pistol cartridges are heavier loads than the .556. While I currently own only one such pistol, I plan several calibers more to be purchased when I can afford them in calibers where the cartridges weigh less than the common handgun cartridges. My short home defense gun that I intended my wife to use in our home were to be invaded today is a .556 AR pistol with a barrel just under 11 inches is over 4 pounds. Braced to her forearm, it's a good room clearing gun when fitted with a green laser light. Without extending her arm, she will be able to see exactly where her bullets will be going. The laser will be about 2 inches low below where the bullets will strike from 10 feet. When room clearing, while dealing with that potential invasion, yet the hard-hitting .556 cartridge from an 11-inch barrel would have much success dropping a felon 10 feet from her barrel, or 1 inch from her barrel, or 20 feet, or whatever range that felon happens to be. She would not, while room clearing, need to bring that firearm to her shoulder. Even were rifle stocks legal, a brace is more appropriate at these arm lengths or further engagements. I and my wife will both be pleased to see these regulations not be enacted. And then GOA boilerplate. Pretty good. Pretty decent. So there's hardly any on this side except for apathy and lack of engagement. The pistol one is a no-brainer. We're going to have pistol braces removed from legality. That's easy. But the other one, they're going to snag that from us too. They got us. Joe Biden outwitted us. We're screwed. By putting up two things at the same time, we're perplexed. All right, well, so with that, I guess we'll end it. We did it in less than an hour today because nobody comments anymore. So pretty soon this show will be like 5 minutes long because no one will comment. Pretty soon they're going to start removing comments, and I'll have to remove some of these videos. I won't be able to have so many videos up because they'll be taking comments away, and I'll have to take some of my videos away. But pistol braces weren't all that good anyway. You remember? Like, they weren't that good. They were violent and whatever, and they're super dangerous. And then all those 80% guns, ooh, scared just thinking about it. All right, well, so with that, I guess you could go around and not do nothing today, or you could do stuff today. It's up to you. It's the beginning of the day. Go out and have some fun. And there's 2A stuff to be going on. What is today? Wednesday? Thursday? It's Thursday. So that means will Clover have a show? We don't know. Will Barbecue have his Rip Off the Daily Gun Show? Probably. And who am I missing? If I'm missing somebody and you want to probe their show, put it in the description here. Otherwise, we will be back